Each year, Microsoft Research hosts hundreds of influential speakers from around the world, including leading scientists, renowned experts in technology, book authors, and leading academics, and makes videos of these lectures freely available.
Okay. I'm at the School of Information and Library Science at UNC Chapel Hill, and also director of the SILS Metadata Research Center. So my background is not in computer science or engineering. I'm trained as a librarian or information scientist, but I enjoy working with computer scientists and engineers. I need to study the problems that I'm interested in metadata, and I think that they need to work with me as well. I was prepared to go on a little bit before lunch, so I wanted to start out by showing you a bunch of images to get your attention, but maybe it's still appropriate at this time in the day after lunch. So what I'm going to do is start out by showing you a few pretty images to capture your attention, then talk about some of our project goals for our project is called Memex Metadata for Student Portfolios, share with you a little bit about our project design and some of our accomplishments so far. Then I have some more images to present, then identify our two key or main challenges that we have faced so far, and wrap up by listing some of our next steps. So, some pretty images to hopefully get your attention. On the left is our two images of the tulip tree, also known as the tulip poplar. And this tree is one of the oldest species known. It's indigenous in North Carolina. And on the right is dogwood, also known as the flowering dogwood. Got the plant and the flower. And this is the state tree and the state flower of North Carolina. And I have this red circle over there in the upper right-hand corner. And what I'm circling there is that the leaves on this branch are opposite. And when people key and identify plants, questions are they alternative, are they opposite, is one of the questions that you ask when you are dealing with angiosperms. Here's another image. This is a specimen from the UNC herbarium. This UNC herbarium is the largest herbaria in the southeastern part of the United States, and it also links with the North Carolina Botanical Garden on campus. And what's up in that little folded box piece of paper are some dried berries that the red berries that you might have seen on dogwoods. Okay, so one more image, then I'll tell you why I'm showing them to you. What we have here are some of the other kinds of plant characters and their characteristics, and then the states that when people do plant identification, they need to also identify. So you've got leaf shape, different kinds of leaf shapes that could get you down plant key further to identifying your specimen. And on the right-hand side are leaf margin. I don't know if anybody here ever had to create a leaf book in elementary school or high school where you pick specimens and you press them down. So why all these images and what's going on? For the last 5.5, 6 years, the School of Information and Library Science has been collaborating with the biology department, faculty in biology, and the North Carolina Botanical Garden over a series of projects where we've been digitizing plant specimens, digitizing field notes, creating a virtual herbarium for different students. We've worked with upper level grade school students learning about plant identification, introducing them to primary scientific resources in the herbarium that they wouldn't necessarily have a chance to view. We've worked with citizen scientists and lifelong learners, monitoring the health of the environment, going out into the field and looking at plants, and then looking at the initial specimen to see how healthy the environment is. And in our current project, Memex Metadata, we have now been working with undergraduate biology students involved in a local flora class, going out into the arboretum and conducting plant identification, learning about scientific taxonomy. Just a little bit more background on this collaboration. We are very interested in the use of technology to help people learn more about the natural world. So when we learned about the availability of the SenseCam, it was just another way to look at the use of technology to link with the natural world. In terms of metadata, there are a lot of metadata questions, and I could probably talk all day about them, but one of the reasons for the collaboration over the last few years is that all of this digitization and creating a virtual herbarium, or call it a digital library of plant specimens, has many metadata questions to it. Metadata for resource discovery, metadata for preservation, metadata to help manage the images, metadata for provenance or history of the material in the collection, and then also the creation of taxonomic information. There's a lot of efforts underway to create, to standardize taxonomic data. So that's been an underlying thread. In terms of the Memex project, talk a little bit about the goals and motivating factors. The first one is we want to explore student portfolio management. Students are faced with an ever-increasing amount of digital information that is fragmented. Think about things they get in class. They may have access to slides. A professor has a home page. There's an email, a class listserv. They may have to do interactive exercises online. Then they produce their own course material. They might be writing papers. They have different versions of papers. They have email study groups. They're working on projects. They take the professor's slides and they put their own notes on it, and they have different versions. But it's fragmented. There's also the issue of students getting material, downloading articles from the library, scientific articles, looking for reports, marking or saving web pages. So how to help students manage this ever-increasing amount of digital information. Next point is the question of integrating new technologies and learning science knowledge. So we want to be proactive in experimenting with new technologies so we can be productive in our learning environment, and we want to take into account learning science knowledge. So there's this area of reflective learning, and research shows that students learn better, become better lifelong learners when they are involved in reflective learning. Examples could be at the end of class where a professor gives a paper and says, okay, take 3 minutes and write down, or you could do it online, right? Write down the thing that you learned today, or the two things that you learned, and the issues or questions that you're still unclear about. Another idea of reflective learning would be journaling your class experience. But the idea is to reflect upon your learning experience, evaluate what you have learned, where you're confused, if you have new knowledge. And when research shows that when students do that kind of reflective learning, they learn better, and it's long-term impact, as opposed to short-term memory cramming for an exam, learning the stuff just to pass the exam. So looking at new technology and seeing how it can help support reflective learning and what we know in terms of learning science knowledge. Last point then is to study metadata generation and the use of metadata, how we can generate metadata more efficiently and effectively in the digital environment, how we can help, what metadata is most useful in different learning scenarios. And so we've been looking at metadata tagging, annotation as a whole, but not just resource discovery metadata, not just things like the name of the specimen or the date it was created, but other kinds of metadata that help with preservation and management and where it came from, its provenance. I guess I've already made the point about poor metadata today, and so it's just something that's always on our mind. And another area of metadata then is context metadata, metadata to help support context awareness. Our department has, our University Information Technology Services has an effort underway where they've been working on creating a context awareness framework, and they've been working with OWL, which is the web ontology language coming out of the semantic web, and FOAF, which I just mentioned, and learning about context awareness on campus, where you can tell where different students are, different classrooms. And so somehow we are exploring how we can link that with this other project. I actually skipped over this slide. I did want to say that our project is a collaboration not only between SILS, the Information Library Science, and the Biology Department, but mention Information Technology Services, and that's where Michael Schaffner is from, who Jim highlighted. And we have a group of people who have been involved in our project, and we even had a visiting scholar from Spain this year in our project. So, all right, so a bit about project design and accomplishments. Where are we? What have we done? Well, we have developed a working system for field testing, and this has taken some time. Ed, we are working with tablet PCs, and we've loaded onto our tablet PCs, there's the standard software, Microsoft Word, OneNote, but then we also have the MLB, SenseCam Images. We've been working, well, SenseCam technology, GPS. We have GPS and digital camera. I have such mixed feelings about this in the sense that students going into biology, they go into it because they want to maybe be out in the field, and we're sending them out to the Arboretum doing these exercises, and so they have these tablet PCs, not the real little ones, and they have, we don't have the GPS on it, so we have taped the GPS to their tablet PC, and let's see what else. Then they're carrying a digital camera around their neck, and they're wearing the SenseCam, and so they're sort of overloaded, but the students that we've been working with, we try to convince them that, oh, in a matter of years, it's all going to be all together on one small thing the size of your cell phone. So that has been interesting. Also, the next point is we've done some pilot testing, and we've gotten feedback from the students, and not only are they carrying all this stuff, but we've heard from 2 different students that they actually want more when they go out into the field. One student said we should give them a backpack with rulers for measuring their specimens when they're out in the field, and another student wanted magnifying glasses. So when we do further testing, we might be giving them a lunch in a bag and other things. Okay, so more on accomplishments then. We've done a bit of pilot testing in getting the MLB to work, and experimenting with the SenseCams and getting images up there integrated into the MLB. We have developed a usability study where we're going to be testing the use of all of this equipment together and software, and it's gone through IRB. And I saw the questions on the listserv. We didn't have any issues with privacy, and so I don't know who had written that email about it, but I'd be happy to talk with them more about it. But I saw an email, I guess it was yesterday, that our proposal, IRB, we got IRB approval. They just needed a grant number to charge us a little bit of money. UNC gets to pay for IRB. So that is going to be happening. We have conducted some exploratory behavioral research. Abe Crystal, who's a doctoral student working on the project, has done some ethnographic research and really has made a strong argument for that, the need for this. If we're going to be testing with new technology, we need to understand we're going to be introducing this new technology to the class, having people work with the SenseCam, that we need to know right now what their information behaviors are and how they're using technology. And, well, we found a lot of manual note-taking still taking place, reliance on class websites. So that's helped inform our work. In terms of metadata, we have developed a modular metadata scheme to be interoperable with the CAF, the Context Awareness Framework that's been developed by ITS, and also to help with some of our learning scenarios. I don't know if some of you are familiar with the IEEE LOM, Learning Object Model metadata standard. That's been influential to our work. We've drawn from that, and also there's a work on event metadata that we've drawn from. So, and we just have started to look a little bit at metadata creation and use, and that's why I brought up some of those questions. We've had several publications and presentations, and I put them on the last slide. So, designs and accomplishments. So, of course, I have to have another slide about metadata because this is my piece. But I won't bore you with all the details and elements. I will say that what we are looking at is trying to figure out how we can get good quality metadata and how we can have most of it be created automatically. So what we have in terms of our modular scheme, we have created at least a base level object type component for documents, things like Word documents or web pages and events. I went to a lecture, I went on a walk through the herbarium where the majority of the metadata can be created automatically as long as the student will enter, and this is just some of the metadata, so I am showing you a little bit of it. But if you can see class, department, code, and class number, if a student gets in there and writes that information, so like biology or INLS for information library science, I'm talking about the second line down, and the third line, it says M/R, that means mandatory, required, and they write the course number. All the other coding in red is metadata that then can be generated automatically and accurately. And it's either automatically taken from the content of the resource or derived from system protocols that are already in place, or harvested from already existing metadata associated with an object. But we are so far finding out that this is working, but we've done very little testing, at least with our preliminary testing. All right, let's see. I said that we have this usability study. We just got the IRB approval, so I thought I'd just give a quick outline of what we will be doing. We will have participants create a profile questionnaire. We want students who are involved in the local Flora class. We will give them a tutorial to learn about the use of the tablet PC, SenseCam camera, MLB. They will then use these technologies to go into the Arboretum. They are going to be collecting specimens and logging them. They will then come back into a lab experience and be given a little bit more information on the use of MLB. And then we will have them work on a series of tasks, such as searching, answering questions, annotating images. And then what we've done is we've pre-populated the MLB software because, they go out and collect 5 specimens and come back. There's not much in there. We want to do a searching kind of experiment. So we've put in web pages and other kinds of documents, some relevant, some not relevant. So we also then will have them build a plant log as part of plant identification, and this will test their memory. And when we're finished that, we will have an interview with them. They have a small questionnaire as well. This study is a long study for students. It's about a 3-hour study, but they're going to be paid very well to participate. So so we'll be working on that when I return. I thought I'd show you just a little bit more of images then. These are from one of the pilot, or actually more than one of the pilots. These are just drawn from people participating in the pilot. But the kinds of things that students felt were important to take with the manual shutter when they were out looking at plants. And it's not as pretty as those first images, which were not SenseCam images, but still useful kind of information. The bark, at least there's memory that there's seeds there. So taking a look at that. I would showing these are SenseCam images taken automatically, and the reason I circled these points is that there's, I guess, preliminary evidence that from some of the questions we've asked students, at least in the pilot, that some of these markers when they're in the arboretum are important. It's not just, the plant characteristics. It's like, oh, by that bench down the road, that's where we saw the white pine, or what's over there is the specimen label. So, oh, that's right, I remember that was the gymnosperm, or something like that. And with our testing that we're going to do, the arboretum actually is labeled. So already, because it's run by the botanical garden, so we have to go in there and put plastic bags over specimens that are already identified, so our students can't cheat. And this is just a little bit more of that. But here, as a student, felt it was important enough to actually do a manual shutter of a locator point, and just showing you different scenes with, the bench off to the side with the sun, as opposed to there's something else happening there. And I believe that's a tablet PC, and they closed up or something. It's a little hard to see. Thought I'd show you image, since they're working with these tablet PCs. The students have been doing little drawings out there, and drawing and taking notes from some of the specimens that they are working with. And this is again from the piloting done. All right, so challenges, two key challenges that we have faced. One was the low quality of the SenseCam images, and I think, Ed, you said a little bit about this with your vet folks, that the students want high quality images for the specimens, but that's not necessarily what the Memex, the SenseCam is about. Yet they want that, and we had complaints from users, even when we explained to them, this is a prototype, and that's why when we send them to the field, they have the SenseCam, but they also have the digital camera, so they can get quality images of real detail. And the other has been that the MLB installation has been a bit labor-intensive. We had some system crashes and things, and there's still problems that require resolution, and we've got bug reports in, but as I said, we are operational, and so that's just been part of the process. Despite these challenges, though, the students that have participated have been quite excited. There's been interest expressed by other members on campus, other disciplines, and the technology planning committee. And I think was it Alan? Is he still here? Yeah. You were saying that everyone wants your SenseCam, or you saying we're experiencing the same thing. We've got some of you. Dan Reed was mentioned from the Renaissance Computing Institute on our campus, and he said, "Can I borrow it?" And we've got people in the School of Public Health wanting to borrow it, and so I that's been a good thing, I think. So next steps. Well, we still want to do a little more pilot testing. We'll be conducting our usability study. We want to continue to develop our evaluation methods for using the SenseCam, for working with the MLB software, and for ways to evaluate reflective learning, seeing if working with the SenseCam helps students with being able to identify plants and characteristics of plants, or scientific terminology and so forth. We did submit an NSF proposal, but one never knows. Jim did write us a letter of support, but so the CCLI, which deals with curriculum programs, so that would allow us to continue some of our work if we were successful, and so those are our next steps. And let's see. And I'll leave you with that slide. Just show you that we've had several publications and posters. Somebody will be presenting at, the SIGA IR. Deborah will be presenting in the Personal Information Management Workshop. So we have that. And, one of the most important conferences, I don't know, some of you may know, but the Dublin Core Metadata Conference, we'll be having a paper in there that was accepted. So that could be accessible or on our website and shared. So it's been a team effort, and the pink is a little shocking, but what I did is let you know who's sort of working on what, in case it would be helpful to other people. So there's Michael's contact information. So I have him down for technology in CAF. Different people have been taking on it. And of course, me. You can contact me about anything. If I don't know, I'll put you in touch with whoever should be doing it. So that you didn't have to tell me 5 minutes.
Oh, you timed it just right.
Good. So questions at all? Oh, thank you. Yeah.
How you might be able to use like an electronic notebook in this kind of context. So like the project that we're doing, we have these students going out, photojournalists, and they're the types of observations that your students are doing
right.
are even more. They're like the experts are getting closer to that. How do you perceive ways that you could integrate their notebook with this?
I mean, I think it gets to the question that Ed was asking about more integration between all the technology. But I think it would be a good thing. I was surprised to see how much just in the pilot. We've only piloted with 5 students, but how many of them went to use OneNote for capturing stuff. So. Yeah, I actually saw some similarities, although your formulas were completely over my head. I saw some similarities in some of the things that you're addressing. So.
Are you keeping the GPS stuff too? Are you keeping track of stuff?
Oh, actually, we are using GIS. That's we don't. Our SenseCam doesn't have because we got one a little earlier, but. Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, we can tape it on, as I said, these poor biology students, who are willing to participate, and we load them up with all this technology. So we tape it on to the tablet PCs. So we are doing that. We are looking at that data. And that's also been important for the context awareness framework.
Have you thought about collaborating with the computer science department so they could do some of the technical heavy lifting while you do the field work?
I think it would be great. I've met actually 2 colleagues here. So you have to come to Seattle to meet people from the CS department of my own university. This sort of just came up real quickly, and I was approached because of the Metadata Research Center. I was approached by the University Information Technology Services to get involved in this, which is for the university computing and not the computer science department. Our rush to get the NSF proposal, and we had thought we really needed to be talking with the School of Ed and the computer science department, but deadlines being what they are, and us wanting to keep, we just got our next proposal in. But I think that we need to, and you had given me a contact of I got to write it down. Yeah, I really think that we should be talking with them, and there's yeah.
Great.
Good point though. Yeah, because I need to work with those folks. I can't. We need to. And vice versa.
Right now, computer science has a problem that you're not getting enough students, and this sort of thing would make computer science more compelling to the field work with the algorithm.
Yeah.
It's definitely an area that's all.
Yeah. So.
Okay, thanks.
All right. Thank you.